You're on point, yes. All the time, Kurt. You're on point, Ray. All the time, Kurt. You're on point, Will. All the time, Kurt. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build.
We gon' start this thing alright. Groove all in the money logging out. Come on, come on. Do it, baby, take it, baby. Do it, baby, take it, baby.
I really am feeling this song. Oh my God, I'm feeling this song. This is the most like modern hip hop, like a lot of curse music, inspirational song recently that I've heard. Like if you breathing, you achieving. I'm like, that's word up.
Right.
Snoop Dogg got a Lil Duval in the house.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. This is On Point Experience. Thank you so much for listening into our show. You can call us as always at 929-227-4646 or check out our website, www.onpointradioshow.com. We're live with the people. As you know, this show brings about the best of the best. If you are the best, if you're doing your thing, you care about these issues in everyday's world, but today with a flavor and a flair, then you're on point.
Yes, yes.
So let's do a quick roll call. Who's in the house?
Buenos dias, everybody. It's Ray Ray.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Kurt Sherrod, Roku.
What's going on? DJ Queen Dream, and alongside me,
the one and only D Nasty, the master. Yeah.
Take that bass out your voice.
I know, that's really deep.
It's early.
Trying to show
His morning voice.
his masculinity. Also, we got Jeff Broom on his way. And big shout out to Will doing his thing, helping the people. I believe the people are our world.
The remix.
The remix. I don't want anybody saying I claim the rights of that song. So I'm Yaz Hurston, everybody. And we're here, so I guess we're going to go into our very own.
Hey, what's the 411, hun?
What had happened?
I got it going on,
hey, yo, I
hun.
got it going on, hun.
What's the 411, hun?
So,
I got it going on.
Ray, I understand that you have a 411.
Yeah, you know what?
I have what had happened too.
Yeah, but this was one that got started August 21st on the anniversary of the death of George Jackson. It's going on right now all the way up to September 9th to commemorate another rebellion of prison. There's a prison strike that started in protest of the guards that were killed in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's spread out through different systems throughout the United States, and now it's Canada, because the prisoners have a 10-point demand about ending prison labor. They are getting paid less than minimum wage, sometimes less than $1 an hour to do work. Like a lot of the fires prisoners are now working, fighting the fires in California, and they're paying less than $1 an hour, doing all the dangers, have no protections, and they're being forced to be in that place fighting the fires in California while they have absolutely no protections. And outside of the terrible abuses that are happening in prisons all throughout the United States, and definitely in response to the over-incarceration and over-criminalization of people of color in the United States. This prison strike is timely. It should be supported. It started on the anniversary of George Jackson, who was a prison activist and founder of the Black Guerrilla Family.
Soledad Brother.
Soledad Brother. And it's going to end at the anniversary of the Attica Rebellion, another strike that happened in Attica Rebellion in 1971 that ended with quite a few inmates that also were killed, but did lead to reform in the prison system, and they're hoping for those same type of reforms to happen in our current criminal justice system. So shout out to our brothers in prisons. We stand in solidarity with you for your defense, because we're talking about dignity, respect, and quality of life for every single human being.
So thank you for that. My what had happened, and on the basis still of struggles and just stupidity and punks. I want to say, I don't know, did you do the wacko of the week anymore? Do you do that anymore? Do you do the wacko of the week? Do you do the wacko?
You do yeah. He
So
still does it.
I'm doing that because wacko of the week is TSA, right? So there was a Harvard grad student, a sister by the name of Zainab Merchant. And I want to say thank you, Zoe Prince, my sister in sports. Her son and I play the line together. She shared this with me. But Zainab Merchant was detained and evasively searched every time she flies. She had to go through the most dehumanizing search this time. She was tormented with her 2-year-old, and she had to show that her pad, what she was using for her menstrual, was not a weapon.
Yes.
So she was required to show her bloody menstrual towel when asked what was that, because she was going through a search through the TSA. She had to go through this dehumanized. This was about 20 hours. Of course, the media is saying that it's alleged because the people who did it did not share their name or their badge numbers. And I'm sure Legal Aid Society is going to be on that in a second. Why do people have to go through that? And let me just say, I was on the plane, and I do know that those searches are a little bit too extra, especially those ones that are new. They go like all in, right? But like if you feel something, and as a woman from another woman, because you know women search women, and if a woman feels that, they know what that is. And for her to have to expose that is the worst feeling ever. I mean, we're just going backwards, guys. Wow. And just because people believe what they want to believe, they have the faith that they want to have the faith, they should not be dehumanized, because that goes against all of God's words. So in that spirit of what we're dealing with every day, and we continue to keep that in our energy, the wacko of the week for me is TSA.
Woo. That's a little extreme right there.
So I think we're good, but if you want to look it up, look up Zainab Merchant, show some love and support, and demand better practices on our people. So we'll be right back, Queen, because we got Financially Fit coming up.
Right.
And it's about time that we need to get our house in order.
Yes. Bloomberg.
I don't think there are enough good times, so they do bad. A lot of people don't have food. And how much food we should produce. Racist people. Wildfires. Pick up trash on the ground. Be nice to people that work. We could use renewable energy sources. If we made a peace treaty for the world, that would make the world a better place.
We live in the age of anxiety. The sage says, why are we giving all our energy to the emperor with no clothes? He's turning us all into foes, caught in the throes of the information age. Fake news and unpaid dues on a social media stage. Too many fingers on hair triggers, it's a pressure gauge. Guns won't save us when bullets are raging. Dreams taken and promises given. Years of education for wages at a minimum. Hashtag my misery, but those who can choose to stay removed, stay seated. Behind these screens, behind these memes. Filtered out truth, but I can still hear them screaming. The revolution is trying to go Facebook Live in the age of anxiety. They divide us, but we even speak these words if the person was standing beside us. Backspacing humanity, Instagram vanity, chaos in the comments, and we're losing our sanity. We stand at a crossroad where Babylon will fall. They don't need Mexico to separate us with this wall. Oh yeah, it's blowing, tornadoes and hurricanes, fires devour, flood water swallows, thirsting for water, flimsy umbrellas, holding on, waiting for someone to tell us we will be saved. But what if we could part the sky and move the sun into revolution with the love we gave? I gotta keep reaching, keep fighting for a higher me. My hands are up, can't breathe this air in this age of anxiety. You gotta love.
guys, this is JB, and you're listening to On Point Experience.
We are back, and we're about to get into
what we just listened to.
That's right.
Exactly.
That was Get Free by Amy G, Asia Rainey, Brady Watt, and Miss Burgundy. Shout out to that collaborative group.
Amy, you in rotation, baby.
Yes.
That energy is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't
man.
block us, Amy, please. We love you.
Oh man, awesome guest.
So we have Jeff Broom right next here.
Yes.
What's going on with you?
Kaboom!
So I got a question for you guys, right? Before we get into this financially fit segment. And obviously we know we do this from time to time, every 2 or 3 weeks. We talk about finances because we know in our community we have to control our economics, right? Impress your banker, not your boys. That's what we want to do, right? We want to control our sidewalks, not only by marching and voting, but we want to control the businesses. We want to control the edifices. We want to control the brick and mortar in our neighborhood.
And
right?
the virtuals.
Absolutely. So this is about assets and asset protection and generational wealth. That's what we sometimes lack in our community. So we're going to talk about something on Financially Fit. The question I have for you guys is, what is the second largest shopping season or event? Number one being Christmas.
Black Friday.
No.
Well, that's kind of...
That's Christmas.
That's all
Back
inclusive.
to school.
Oh, Ray.
Yeah.
I guess I should have let you ask the whole question. My bad.
Been studying my
Back to
notes.
school. No, I just know because that's when I wait to shop.
That's when you wait to shop?
Yep.
For yourself?
Is that
For
easy
myself.
for everything?
I'm not mad at that.
Okay.
No.
Right?
That's why I wait to
Smart.
shop for back to school.
There you go, right? I mean, they got kids in school your size, right? So
Yeah,
therefore, you can take
exactly.
advantage of the sales, right?
That's funny.
Exactly.
That's it. No, it's true talk. True talk. Pick up some extra pencils. Here's the idea. So 27 billion. A sale's a sale, right?
Exactly.
$27 billion is spent during that time period, right? And I want you guys to chime in. Outside of Christmas, that is the #1 shopping season in the entire country. They estimate that for elementary school students, $662 is spent per child. $1,000 for middle school, and high school goes to $1,500, right? And that's just for one child going back to school. So, and that usually lasts from July to September, that season, right? So now that we've kind of identified that, and you guys can actually, as I go through this, you can chime in, those of us who have children. Or let me ask you a question, Kurt, Yaz, right? You guys, kids going back to school. What do you think you might spend on an average? And then Al, I know you have, I've read you've got some young ones as well. What do you think you might have spent for your son?
My son graduated from college so long ago that I spent nunca.
Things were free?
Nothing, baby.
Yet. My son has a uniform. I don't spend nothing.
Nothing.
No, I think you're right. There used to be a tradition that, you know, when you started school, everything was new, like a new state of mind, right? And so I think back in the day, we would spend, because you got to get new outfits, and if you're a girl, definitely more. But I remember, right, you grow, right? So I think you got to get a whole new wardrobe. So I don't know how much it is now, but I would say you spend like at least 500 or G to start off with, depending on like the different outfits, pants and tops and varieties.
For me, it was so long ago. I went to Alexander's on Fordham Road.
Right.
We got like, here's $50 American dollars. Make it happen, son.
But like now, like in the hood is El Mundo and all those other like easy
Jimmy
shopping,
Jazz and all that stuff.
But I think, is that too much then? 500 to 1,000 for today?
I don't know.
I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Especially if your kids want $150 and $200 sneakers.
That's enough. No. And they plus
Right.
you got coats.
Absolutely.
You got the coat, and then you got to get the Timbs or the winter.
And then eventually you got to get books.
Right.
And the book
bag. Pencils and all that.
Right. It's school supplies.
School supplies.
Five-star notebooks.
I will be that.
And now it's definitely laptops.
Laptops and tablets, right?
Gadgets, the other
So no, you
like
really
you have to
learning
get a
now
Mac.
on laptop. You have to get a Mac.
Yeah.
or the iPad.
That Dell is not going to cut it. You have to get a Mac.
Or
There's a specific
iPad.
way you got to upload the assignment, so you got to get a Mac.
She's
Imagine.
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So says the student. I like that.
No, I wouldn't know.
I just beat that.
So says the school.
So can we agree, right? I appreciate you guys chiming in.
We gave you a lot, right? Show's over.
Show's over.
That was fiscally fit.
Exactly.
That's what you get for asking us questions.
Exactly. But no, we wanted to chime in, right? Because at the end of the day, what I wanted you guys to do is to talk about how when we went to school, we didn't have those electronics, right? Now kids have $700 cell phones, right? Then you need maybe an $800 laptop, right? So those other different things. We didn't concentrate on those. I remember going to school, you know, when we would go buy sneakers and you pick up one and the other one was tied to it, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way it is these days, right?
A long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I'm an OG.
Secondhand.
So you go to Marshalls now and do that?
Marshalls, nah, them days are over. I now go inside the store, right? If you shopping outside the store for sneakers,
in the box, right?
Exactly, in the box, and I'm gonna try them on.
Among the Jew man in Delancey Street, that was the only way I did it.
He's gone now.
And I don't want to. I want to walk with one sneaker and the other one's not tied behind it when I'm walking.
True that.
And
true
try
that,
it on.
true
So,
that.
but I remember. We all remember the days of Delancey Street, right? You go down there, you get your leads and all that stuff.
Street.
So what I'm trying to say is that we need to be financially fit. We also need to be fiscally responsible when we're taking our kids back to school. So number one, go shopping with a plan. Have a budget. Right? There's some things that timing is key when it comes down to what we really want to do with our stores. So stores are always having sales, right? There's sales before school. There's sales and whatnot after school starts, right? They order a lot of inventory, and you'd be surprised that even after school starts, you don't need all the things that your kids need from day one. After a week or two, things are on sale. Clothing, things of that nature, right? So we all want to look fresh back in the day, but sometimes waiting a week or two afterwards is a good time to go shopping.
I don't know about that. The social ills. So you saying they can't wear maybe one outfit for the first day?
Yeah, you gotta have one or two.
Yeah, you know that because
absolutely
you can't be coming rocking the same thing last year.
No,
Kids are cruel. Kids are cruel.
First day of school, you gotta look, you know, but. But the bottom line is that how many weeks did you want to make that happen, right? Because the most important thing is the education, right?
Yeah,
so we always have to keep that in mind. So you
want
to have a list, right, of what would your kids really want and what their needs are, right? Because they're going to tell you what they need to do because they're going to maybe try to go to school and compete and see who's the best looking for the first couple of weeks of school, right? And that's not the most important thing. So we want to kind of keep that in mind, right? So obviously we dress the things about new clothing, right? In some communities, they do a clothing swap. Depending on where you're at, it might work, depending on where you are. In some communities, it's not, right? But it's so very interesting because I do have a neighbor who lives across the street, and, you know, he's from Pakistan, and his mentality with his kids are completely different. Right. He said, my kids need maybe 2 pairs of sneakers, one for gym, one to go back to school and forth in, right? They need a couple of shirts and a couple of pair of pants, and they're good.
Immigrant life.
That's good for the Pakistan
It is, but I understand his focus is truly about the education.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. But we, as adults, that we set that bar a little bit, right? So obviously, we talked about waiting to buy, right? You don't need to be impulsive. Some of these things can be bought a little bit later on down the line. You know, nothing wrong with buying things when it's liquidated. Nothing wrong with buying things on clearance. Sometimes and whatnot, we think that we're too good as a community. I'm not buying anything off the clearance rack. Well, it's the same name brand. It's that same polo. It's just maybe 2 or 3 months later. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's all good. So even with our children, we need to make sure and whatnot that it's not too bad. I bought this shirt. No, not this one. Anyway.
So please do not speak of your life.
No, my life. My life is pretty good. But anyway, there's also, and it might be a little bit late, but I think this segment is pretty apropos, but take advantage of tax holidays, right? There are about 45 states where for going back to school where there's no taxes on a certain week or a certain weekend. If you know that, that's the time to blow it out. Shop the old-fashioned way. Although you can do some things online, a lot of times shipping and handling is something that we have to deal with, but it's real good to go into the store, see what it is, touch it, feel it, you're in, you're out, don't have to worry about delivery. So going, for that time, shopping right in the store, you get it, you need, and it's a beautiful thing. Putting technology to work, right? There's apps that out there to do some comparative shopping in terms of school supplies. One is Shop Savvy, another one is Honey. So to make sure and whatnot that you're getting the best deals. Some of the stores that have changed over a period of time that you get the best deals for clothes: Walmart, Best Buy, and Target. So some of us may feel that we should shop in these stores. Some of us feel that it's not where we need to shop. But that's where you need to be at. So they say that the best deals are always not going to be at Staples. So the Walmart, the Target, also the dollar store is a great place to go and buy school supplies. Go ahead, Ray. You want to say something?
Actually, a lot of these stores online. I mean, Target now has. They have like where schools put the list on, and parents just pick the school, and they're able to get everything that they need because
like a registry.
Like a registry. So now there's like a school list registry, and so find where those are because attached to those registries are the deals and savings.
Absolutely.
And so like and that should be like all stores should be doing that.
Yeah, big shout to the schools who are now offering. There's not a lot, but who have washing and drying machines in the basement because a lot of kids, they feel like they don't want to go to school because they don't have the money and they can't wash their clothes.
Right.
And so certain schools are putting washers and dryers in the basement so kids can come to wash their gear. So big shout to them.
And one more thing, I mean, let's not forget, like today in my neighborhood around the corner from where I live, there's a book bag drive. Like, go to those places. The donations that people donate are quality notebooks, book bags, binders, crayons, all the stuff that people need, and sometimes lunch boxes. So go to those too if you are trying to figure out how to save. So that way you can buy the fly gear, but get the hooked up book bag in these
with the
book bag drives.
And plus, elected officials are doing it all over the city. As a matter of fact, our next guest, Assemblyman Al Taylor, he just did it at Esplanade Gardens. I mean, everyone is doing it. You don't have to really buy a book bag and supplies anymore. They're so accessible.
Right.
He was giving out Louis Vuitton book bags?
He was not giving out Louis Vuitton.
They're doing
he was giving out what is that? Supreme book bags. Everybody's gonna call his office tomorrow. Supreme book bags.
Spray ground. So to piggyback on that, also let's acknowledge you have a lot of teachers and educators that spend a lot of their own hard-earned money. Now, I know Betsy DeVos and whatnot. She's proposing something that there's an allotment that's going to supposedly given to teachers to allocate for funds for school supplies. But shout out, that's supposedly right. But shout out to a lot of the educators out there that spend their hard-earned money, right, for the kids to have the proper things just to get an education in this country.
Well, you know, the sad thing is that, and I don't know if that's included in your whole school supply savings, but when my kid was in school, elementary school, we had to buy like paper towels and Ziploc bags and wipes and disinfectant because school supplies not only weren't there for kids, but like to clean the
there was no toilet paper in the bathrooms.
And that was for those schools, the parents who could do that.
Wow.
Because can you imagine the schools, the parents who could not bring in that stuff?
It's tough.
So, you know, thank you for that because that's like real.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad we don't
real.
have to do that anymore, but it's still prevalent in our communities.
Absolutely. And again, keep in mind that the schools have been under assault, right? There's a lot of budgetary cuts. The things that we had, different types of workshop, music, arts and crafts, things of that nature, they're no longer available in certain schools. So, you know, we want to make sure that these schools are supported. So, moving right along, right? Another thing is consider buying refurbished electronics, right?
Yes.
Sometimes
I thought you said reefer. I was like, what?
No, actually,
what?
Because that'll make you rethink a lot of things.
Actually, it's better sometimes to buy the refurbished.
Tech tips.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say reefer.
No.
That's not a part of your school supply, right, brother Al? So, yes, you can. So, let's be clear. Refurbished electronics, right, Ray? So Amazon, right, has a site, has placed also Newegg. There's some real good places that really are, you can get some quality things. I know I bought a refurbished laptop a long time ago for work, and it's still up and running. So we want to keep that in mind. Our kids, maybe they don't let's say appreciate some of these different things like we may, because we pay for them. So nothing wrong with getting something that's refurbished. So you can get no reason why we can't do that. Now, in light of that, I know Yaz had hit me to this last year, but Apple and Best Buy, they certainly do run some different types of promotions. So Apple, if a student buys a new MacBook or iPad Pro, they get a free Beats headphones.
Yo, I bought a new Mac last week. I got me the new headphones.
You're not a student. How'd you pull that off?
My wife's a student.
Oh, no, okay, there we go.
You should have saw me. Honey, I need your email address now. Now, wake up.
I need the Dr. Dre's, right?
It's an incentive to get kids back involved in the education process.
Absolutely, right? And listen, if you're going to spend money, nothing wrong with things about coupons, discounts. We need to be a little more educated as consumers, right? You know, I learned a long time ago, there's only one ethnicity that brags about how much they pay for things. Other ethnicities brag about how much they save, right? I paid $800 for that bag.
That's Jeff's ethnicity.
That's it. My ethnicity. We're different.
I talk about savings. I'm sorry. I gotta be real. I'm a coupon queen.
But here's the idea. That's what we need to do. That needs to be pervasive throughout our whole entire community, right? We brag about, how much did you pay for that? Well, girl, I paid, or guy, So we need to change that thought process, right? So Best Buy offer also when you're a student and you get a Best Buy account with them, they give up to $150 on MacBooks. $100 on Surface laptops, and it runs throughout the whole entire store. So these are things that we want to take advantage of. Let's just not walk in the stores that we spend a lot of money in and not expect a little bit something in return as a discount. If I'm supporting you, I really want something back, right? Also, a number 9 tip, and then we got maybe 2 or 3 more, is just say no. Sometimes, your kids want, I know when you go school shopping, we think it's a free-for-all, right? So I can get anything I want, whatever I want. Sometimes as a parent, you got to bring it back to school, talk about the budget, what's necessary, and say no, right? Obviously, we talk about going back to school, so school, sports, and activities. These are also expenses that as parents, and it's huge, right? Because kids play sports. As you can chime in, but they play sports all year round, right? When I went to school, most of the stuff, it was sneakers. Sometimes they give you uniforms. A lot of times, sometimes they don't. You got to chip in for that. One of the suggestions that I read is that try to really have your child focus on maybe 1 or 2 sports that make sense. Because a lot of times kids, we get in, we want to do everything, we're a little fickle. Next thing you know, you spent money on a set of drums, and Johnny plays for 2 days, right? And it's not really what he wants to do. So there's a lot of money that can be spent on extracurricular activities. So we want to make sure we're doing that the right way. And then again, we just talk about real quick as we wrap this up. For those who are going to college, one of the things that really resonate with me why I want to do this is because my niece is starting her first year at FIT. So yeah, that's what's up. Shout out to Sierra Johnson out there. So, we got a list of things she needs. She needs an iron. She needs this. But she has other roommates, right? So my conversation is, does everybody, do you need an iron? Can you share an iron? I don't know how that works. But yeah, it's like, no, got my own iron.
You that uncle.
I don't know.
You that uncle.
Yeah, that uncle. Right?
But it depends on, you can share the refrigerator or the TV.
Exactly.
We didn't, an iron, you can get your own.
Exactly. We didn't go that deep, but the bottom line, there's certain things that's I did not. There's certain things that are community property, like you said, that we could talk about, right? And obviously, you want to look for deals on textbooks. People now, they rent textbooks. Half.com, they rent textbooks. Ask your professor, do I need the latest edition? Right? Sometimes they might not change the curriculum. They knew of a new edition because they added 1 paragraph. Right?
Oh, I hate that.
Well, it's about money.
I really hated that. Oh my God.
They say to try to stay away from the school, where the school sells the books and stuff like that, because they're typically the most expensive and the greatest markup in the bookstore. So dorm room supplies, we talked about that. So go on Craigslist, right? If you could find some different things, it doesn't have to be a brand new TV because you might not spend a lot of time in there anyway. So also there's rules for those in college to actually save some money. So the final word is, and you guys can chime in because I'm done, but going back to school,
one thing about the budget.
No, go ahead.
Parents, a lot of parents, especially in the public schools, they gotta budget food for the year. Like they gotta put aside, because sometimes you get the fly sneakers, but they don't eat lunch. Because they can't buy that lunch. I don't
have that problem.
well, it's a problem in New York City, the public schools.
Because the food is not good, Ray.
Right. Not even that, but sometimes if you don't have the money, they won't give you food.
You mean the public school system?
The public school system in New York City. Because I
say that again so we can
when I was a public school teacher in Brooklyn and Crown Heights, it was devastating. So my program decided to just buy lunches for my students so that they can have food to eat, so that they're awake in class and not fainting.
Right.
So this is something. So also include that in the budget.
Absolutely, right? I think that's a very valid point. So food, supplies. So
back to school sales.
Back to school sales. But yeah, great.
Well, I'm not done. Thank you. So the most important thing I think is that we need to understand is that it's about education. It's about what they need to have the proper education. It's about the tools and the resources. It's the food, the little simple things, and it's not always about what the child might want, which is obviously the gear and things of that nature. So let's be conscientious. Let's be focused. Let's be intelligent, and let's be a little bit savvy when our kids go back to school, and take them shopping with you and let them know, hey, listen, we're gonna buy this. Let's save some money. Let's do this thing the right way, and take inventory, because a lot of times you might have these things at home. We don't want you stealing them from your job in corporate America, but you might have those things at
Robin
home.
Hood.
already, right? And that's exactly what you want to do because you don't want to buy the same thing twice. So let's be some educated consumers when we take our kids back to school, and that's Financially Fit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
Standing in a child now.
It's hanging is surviving.
You're listening to OnPoint Experience.
And we're back, and that was Tanya B with Rivers of My Life.
Yes, yes. So this is really a family reunion, I think. I am pleased to have in the audience some really great people. But right next to me, I have a young man who I guess have known a lot of my life, and I didn't even realize it. This man has walked miles for a cause, walks to Chicago on a mission to catalyze change in troubled times. This man has spoken to many people when it wasn't fancy or fresh to speak to people in the projects about being a man. This man has been elected as a state assembly member representing the northern part of Harlem.
Washington
and,
Heights
some
too.
parts of western Harlem as well. Housed and living and rocking his office you can find anytime where the Esplanade Garden site is. And also I want to share with him that he is an ordained minister. He has his degree and Master of Divinity, the concentration of church development from the Nyack College Alliance Theological Seminary. And he graduated also from Lehman College with a BA in public communication. How do I know you graduated from Lehman College?
I recall. Well, no, I'm not going to tell you.
You got to tell the story.
No,
I need you to tell the story.
Well, I hear tell.
Okay.
That you were there, and we don't have to talk about how old you were or how old I am or was. But I hear you participated in one of the. In fact, it was for Mother Claire Hill, we did a fair. Wow.
No, that's not how.
That's when you were there. Weren't you there with your mother that day?
Oh, I was there with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
But how? But
I was in class with your mother too.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. And black studies,
Maybe
I didn't feel
say,
black.
Maybe I should.
Yeah, I didn't feel black enough when I was in class. You know? I had a little drip. You know what I'm saying? That's all I was. Because I thought she was gonna tell us. I better put it up.
Well, I said. So everybody knows that it's a profound thing when people go back to college. And so my mother went back to school when I was in middle school, and she wound up going to Lehman College. And I thought she was just going to be going back and forth, but she wound up being,
she was
a student
activist.
Government with Al Taylor.
Yes.
So Al Taylor and her, they went to school together a long way with Andre Harrell.
So
you guys were rocking the Jerry curls and everything.
He was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde rocking the mic side by side. Then you have another brother by the name of Jeff Robertson. Jeff Robertson, you would know because he has a young lady by the name of Gabrielle Wilson. They call her Her. That's his artist.
Oh, I love this new song.
His other artist before that was a woman, Alicia Keys.
Kind of heard of her.
Yeah, and then you had Kurt Whitley from Lehman College who introduced someone by the name of Mary J. Blige. So Lehman College is
Had it
popping.
going on.
My mother went to Lehman College.
Mine too.
Everybody, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all can play the mother game.
Well, my mom said.
My mama was there too.
My mother went to Lehman College pregnant with 3 kids, and we sat in the corner while she took
My
classes.
mother she painted the Ellen Lehman.
My mama started the jazz.
So,
Reverend Taylor, Assemblymember Al Taylor.
Yes.
Welcome to On Point Experience.
Oh, I was like, On Point? Yo, y'all are on point up in this place. Yo, y'all don't leave anything. I'm glad to be here. So happy to be here. Thank you all very much.
Can I want to be public on air to give my ultimate thanks. Affirm, how important it is to have the right person sitting in office. You came in and stepped into the shoes of someone that stood really strong and tall in our community, in Upper Manhattan, and you took over for Danny Farrell, and I am his constituent, and when I'm in trouble with my building, it was a super response. You sent in your representative, you responded and helped to support my tenant association, and then we are so grateful. You didn't even know me. You just heard about a problem, and you just showed out and came out and supported us. And I want to thank you on behalf of the 600 West 161st Street Tenants Association.
Ray, thank you.
For your
thank
support.
you on behalf of everybody here. Thank you for helping Ray.
You gonna mess around, be crying up in here.
No, but I gotta give you props because I don't give props to politicians.
That's true.
And you know what? And I'm not a politician.
I know. That's what I'm. Yeah, that's what's up.
And what is the difference?
I don't know, but when you hear it, it just doesn't sound sexy.
I know.
So I'm a public servant. I don't know anything else to do but work. My grandmother was a superintendent. She was a super when we were kids. She was responsible for, I played on the coal pile, 135 and 133 Edgecombe. She was a super for both of those buildings. And at that time, you ring the bell, the dumbwaiters bring the trash down. So the jobs, coming up from the South, she was, and my grandparents were oh goodness, they were sharecroppers, and so we were that new movement into New York, and then it became the Latinos, and you take those jobs that are no longer sexy, but yet you still have to do community. So to Jeff's point, you look at what you really have and you try to make it work. I didn't know we were poor, right? My grandmother come home from work and she's got a bag of donuts. I was out of the military when I realized she was working at one of the hotels, the Roosevelt Hotel, and she was cleaning, and they have these events, and she was bringing home goodies for us. I didn't know that. I'm working. My mother was working. She worked for Presbyterian Psychiatric Institute, 168th, and then she worked at Rockland County. And man, mama was tight. So when I joined the military, I could make a hospital bed easily. I was doing it in 4th grade. The corner, the 45 degree, what?
Throw a quarter on there, bang.
What? Bounce. Good. Lord, I'm just happy to be here and serving, and I never want to be that guy that knows it all, but I'm always willing to walk alongside and try to learn it and understand, and also look right now to identify who's going to replace me. There's a man, there's a woman, there's a teenager that needs to be prepared so that they can walk into this. I didn't come into this to be an elected official. I got my job at Lehman College. I began an internship with Denny Farrell. And I was like, listen, that's going to look good on my resume. I'm going to go get me a job. Somebody going to hire my mama's son. They're going to be good.
Why did you do this walk to Chicago? What was that about?
The backdrop on the Chicago walk was I learned about the shootings in Chicago, the level of devastation probably 3 years out. And at that time, we'd already been doing prayer walks, which we initiated in the South Bronx, South Bronx, right? It was Bronx River, BX in the house, right? And we started a ministry there. And one of my good friends, he's in Chicago right now. He's just finished a hunger strike, Dimas Salabarios. You got to get his book. He did it like two years ago. The book was called Street Gods. He was running guns and drugs to D.C. He's one of the most phenomenal preachers and man of God you want to roll with right now from Queens. So he and I were chopping it up. He said, I got this vision God has given me. I'm like, another church? We need another church like we need a hole in the head. Somebody say amen.
Amen.
But when I listened to him and I watched what he was doing, his heart was turned to the young people that weren't coming into the building and they weren't dressed up. So we did white, the white tees, do a lot of back to school. Icy white. There you go, son. So we were doing a lot of that stuff. And we rolling down the Ave one day on White Plains. He was like, you know what? No, it was Westchester. Man, God put it on my heart. We're going to do 5:30 prayer time. I'm like, okay. And then he was like, in the morning. I was like, what? Are you serious? I didn't get that. And so we started in the South Bronx at 5:30 in the morning off the 6th line, Soundview in Stratford.
Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice.
There it is. So now we have a lot of cats. They were coming from Harlem, coming from the Bronx.
My peoples.
And we was picking everybody up, and we'd go over to this spot. And you can imagine at 5:30 in the morning, by 6, you hear
5 o'clock in the morning. Where you gonna be? Outside on the corner.
Oh, okay. Here I come back. So we started it, and one day we couldn't get in the place because we were borrowing somebody else's joint. So it's like, you know what? Let's take a walk. And we did the Forrest Gump. We never stopped walking. But here's what we learned. The crime had stopped. And everywhere where they were hustling drugs, we would go and pray on those spots. And within 2 weeks, they weren't there anymore. They were praying. They were hustling, but they weren't hustling there. And so we kept doing that. And for 10 years, there was not a homicide in Bronx River. The crime statistics had dropped. So I walked to Chicago knowing what God could do and what would it look like in Chicago. So I started, and someone said to me, well, you can't do that. People are good to tell you. Audience that's listening, don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. They said, well, what's your background, Al? You've never done any walking. And I want to shout out Mariella from my office. She said, didn't you say you were going to walk to Chicago? When you going to train? I'm like, yeah, she just punked me. So I started walking. In New York, I would get up in the morning, walk from 157 in St. Nick, walk up to Dyckman, then walk down the Harlem River Drive. I got 3.5 miles in right there. Then after work, I'd get off the job, walk down to 96th Street or 72nd, walk back up. The idea was to build up 15 miles a day after doing 8 hours. So I started in Chicago. August 7th, 780 miles later, September 7th, I arrived on the south side of Chicago.
Ooh, we're in the south side.
Big shout out to that.
God is able. I'm a dropout.
I lived in the south side of Chicago for 7 years, so let me know.
That's Michigan, right?
No, I was.
Is that Michigan Avenue when you come in?
Well, yeah, but there's Lakeshore, there's Michigan, there's a lot of, yes, Michigan Avenue is the main avenue.
I came in on Michigan Avenue, and I saw 5-0 pull up in a joint, and like these two guys got out. I'm like, yo, y'all looking for me? And the guy said, yeah. I say, for what? Now, what I did, right? Then the guy said, no, we're supposed to follow you to the south side. That's the first time I'd seen a patrol car working with me. I mean,
and what you're doing. Well, I think that
they want me to get
because it's real in Chicago.
Yeah,
and they need you. They need prayer now. But it's in thinking of educating and people now seeing you as a person that we can relate to, because a lot of people don't see public officials like this. This is an interesting election year this year. Can you talk a little bit about what the primary day is? I mean, it's not the regular day.
Girl, it's Thursday.
Why?
Did I say Thursday?
Not Tuesday.
But Thursday. Can I get a Thursday?
Thursday.
September 13th. Why? Because Tuesday the 11th is in remembrance of the 9/11, and it's also a Jewish holiday. And I want you to know, in your audience, to know that was the first bill that I put my signature to in Albany because I'm on the election law. And they said, "Oh, we got to change." I said, "How y'all can't be changing stuff?" And then they broke it down to, because I need to understand. I'm just a country kid, so I need to understand why y'all changing that, because that's gonna flip everything.
Yeah.
And there are already problems in the primary. We don't get enough people out to vote nationally, and people are burned, they're bruised, and they're dejected, and they're tired of people, perhaps like me, that are talking about it's gonna get better, do this, do that. And reality is, yes, I feel your pain, I feel your hurt, but we gotta get over that and get rid of number 45. You gotta vote locally. You can't talk about it, you gotta be about it. And now, if you were preaching, I would say something like the Book of James said, faith without works is dead. But when I'm preaching, so I'm gonna say, don't talk about it, be about it. I'm sorry.
Well, you're preaching. I've witnessed that, and we rock out. And speaking of preaching, we want to thank you so much, Al Taylor. You can find you where? What's your
where am I at?
Where you at?
What do you want me to talk about?
Yeah, just say where your office is.
Oh, my office is
2541-55
Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. That's Esplanade Gardens for the people uptown. 148 3 train last stop, 1 block south. I'm right there, across the street. I can't talk about. I got a campaign headquarters across the street, just in case.
Okay, just in case.
Just in case.
And the reason why I'm really talking like this, because I think the best way to express what we all do, our feelings and our thoughts, is through music. And so we have our very own D Nasty here to just tell us what we think about what we just heard and to share with the audience what's good.
So we gonna shout out Al Taylor. That jacket is fly, shout out to Al Taylor. You already understand how we doing. You got the thing in the situation, got it moving. And you're not a politician, but you serve as a community. And I'm listening to everything that you was saying. You wasn't playing, doing your thing in Chicago and campaigning. Everybody talking about what they gonna do, but you was walking. You know, moving the steps often. Understand that this real music. Out there, they make the drill music. You know that shoot 'em up, kill music. But you did some feeling that real film music, and now they deepening up my vocals and understand you worldwide. You're not just local, you just doing it for everybody and everyone up in here. You don't care. You already know from the beginning when you were scheming. Back in the days you went with Yaz Mom the Lehman. You already know I be the one that be beastin'. From the AM to the PM, you getting W's like a BM every single season, and we see that you're not leaving. So we gonna represent you and show the whole world what you gonna do. Al Taylor, understand that I feel ya. Other cats need to get familiar, and we show no love to 45. He gets no respect, just hit him with a 45. For sure we live, and we doing it to the top. D Nasty for you, that's what I got.
There it is!
Drop the mic!
OnPoint experience, everybody. Have a great week. We'll be back at the next show. Peace out.
You're on point, yes. All the time, Kurt. You're on point, Ray. All the time, Kurt. You're on point, Will. All the time, Kurt. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build. On point radio, we about to build.
Listen to OnPoint Radio Show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. with co-hosts Curtis Sherrod, Will Jameer, Rayblen Vargas, and me, Yaz Hurston, as we empower and educate you, the listening audience, on current events, lifestyle matters, and political community issues with a twist of humor, intellect, and tough love.
So people, check us out at www.floempireradio.com. You can download the app, or you can go right to the website, and be sure to click on our radio show, On Point.
Love to hear from our people. Call us with your questions, comments. Share your thoughts. Call 929-227-4646. That is 929-227-4646.